Alright, what's up guys? PeterJaguars here again, and you know what time it is. Our 2023 NFL playoff bracket predictions are here. For the 9th consecutive season, I'll be predicting every game en route to Super Bowl 57, longest standing one of these series on YouTube. The only person to get a playoff bracket entirely correct did it back in 2017, and that'll be the mark we're aiming for once again. The world of the NFL keeps on spinning, and so does my life. By the time we hit the next one of these annual uploads, I'll have graduated from Stanford. Exciting things on tap, and of course, always wonderful when the Jags are here in the playoff mix. Let's find out who's going to be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy come February and hop into the picks. We'll start things off in the top left corner. First AFC wildcard matchup, Chargers at my Jaguars. And despite losing to Jacksonville 38-10 earlier on in the season, LA comes in as a slight favorite. They've gotten healthier. They found their footing. Justin Herbert versus Trevor Lawrence is must-see football right here. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than the opening matchup. That said, Jacksonville is carrying in worlds of momentum. I'm going to be trying to go to this game live. I preemptively thrown away every single Charger I own, so going technology-less heading into the game the moment I get this video uploaded. And I think in what'll be a tight one all the way through, Jags push forward to the divisional round. The story heading into Ravens-Bengals will undoubtedly be the health of Lamar Jackson. Baltimore won the head-to-head with him playing early on in the year, lost in Week 18 as they were resting guys, and Anthony Brown struggled in reserve. Basically, on the spooky-o-meter, it goes up around 5 points whether Lamar is playing or not. Nonetheless, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo has done a great job with game plans for the Bengals this season. If it's Lamar, if it's Huntley, if it's Anthony Brown, I think they're going to have some answers and just enough firepower on offense to take down their division rival. Divisional rematch where the visiting team has gotten whittled down to their third-string quarterback by the end of the season? Guys, didn't I just record this segment? Look, the Dolphins' offense is a menace when everyone's together. Mike McDaniel has done a spectacular job in his first season there, but I'm not sure that they're going to be able to get everyone back to health and full speed as they're taking on a really, really good Bills team right here. If there's one of these 6 games in the first round that I feel most confident about, it is going to be the Bills punching their ticket to play another game. Moving on to the right as Cowboys-Bucks headlines the NFC's first round, and look, I don't think Tom Brady's playing much worse than he did the past couple of seasons. The issue with the Bucs offense right now is injuries on the line and the absence of Rob Gronkowski, who is doing so much for them as a blocker, not to mention his reliability in the receiving game. And if there's any defense that has a front 7 chomping at the bit to go against a wounded offensive line, it's this Cowboys group. They're going to be more than hungry enough, and while Tampa has the leadership and experience, think that the Cowboys are going to storm in on the road, come out with the victory. A lot of the non-divisional rematches are from games early in the season, so they're difficult to use as reference points. But the Giants and the Vikings played in Minneapolis the day before Christmas. We're seeing an identical showdown just a few weeks later. Of course, the Vikings won that on a 61-yard buzzer-beater field goal, emblematic of all their close victories this season, and kind of going back and forth in the direction that I want to go with this game. Give you one nugget that inspires my ultimate decision. The Giants' leading receivers, Darius Slayton, Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins, combined for 1,644 receiving yards. Justin Jefferson, on the other side, had 1,809 by himself. Best weapon, best player goes to the Vikings. We'll take them through in a close one. In many ways, it's been a storybook season for the Seahawks, predicted to be one of the worst teams in the league, and they'll still get a top 5 pick via the Russell Wilson trade, but also a bonus playoff berth to come along with it. Gotta give credit to not only Pete Carroll, but Mike Tomlin as well. Didn't get his team into the playoffs, but the Steelers avoiding another losing season. Veteran coaches putting in some work in the 2022-23 campaign. That said, the Seahawks started 6-3 and then dropped 5 of their last 8 contests. Didn't beat the Niners either time they faced off, and right here I think it's going to be third time still staying the charm with the Niners. They get the hat trick, push the Seahawks out of contention. Before we head into the divisional round, annual reminder that the NFL playoff bracket reseeds, so should the Seahawks upset the Niners, they would go and play at Philadelphia. Other two winners would go head-to-head in the opposing game. Don't need to shuffle anything around right here. We're talking Jags Chiefs from Arrowhead Stadium, and KC made a bet to move on from Tyreek Hill. Bank that Patrick Mahomes could continue thriving in this offense. Absolutely has been able to succeed nonetheless. MVP candidate for it. This Jags team, I'm very excited about the future of. Maybe just needs a little bit more juice to challenge these Chiefs on the road. An upset would entirely be possible. I'm more thinking about Calvin Ridley next year, Trevor Lawrence in another season of this Doug Peterson system to really be among the top teams in the AFC. We'll go with the Chiefs to push forward with their home win. I'd be remiss to jump into Bengals-Bills without mentioning Damar Hamlin. So grateful for his recovery, for the treatment he's gotten, for the way the NFL landscape has rallied around his miraculous circumstance. And if this matchup comes to fruition, we'll have just a little bit of extra emotion on both sides. I think particularly on that Buffalo one. Talk about the football side of it, sometimes it feels a bit more abstract, but both of these teams, special young quarterbacks, lots of receiving talent. Bills are trying to piece it together, I think, a little bit more in the slot. They can get going in a hurry, and I think this is one of those games that you could kind of flip a coin or look for almost a non-football reason to predict the outcome of. Just wonder whether this Bills team is going to have that extra juice behind them. See it going in any capacity. I'm going to go with the Bills. Punch forward on perhaps what might need to be a last-minute drive or fortunate bounce of the ball. Another game that I would love to see is Cowboys-Eagles. No Dak Prescott the first time these teams played. Jalen Hurts was out the second showdown. If we can get these teams as close to full strength as possible, extremely compelling football on tap. And both sides with it too. Philly's pass D tops in the league, 70 sacks this year against a Cowboys team that's been able to move the ball in myriad ways. For the Eagles, maybe Jalen Hurts being banged up slowed down some of their offensive momentum. Let's not forget that he was the leading MVP candidate for much of the season and extremely explosive. It's another one where you can do your coin flips, roll your dice, use your random.org to decide who you think's going to win. But I think this one might just be a little bit weighted on one side, and that is Philly. You give them the bye to rest up, get healthy, come up with a really good game plan. I think there's a reason that they were undefeated for the longest of any team this season. They punched their ticket to the NFC Championship. Kyle Shanahan did a great job coaching Kirk Cousins back in the day, but the two certainly didn't combine for any 13-win seasons. Now we return to that same question of, are the Vikings fraudulent for winning so many one-score games, or have they unlocked the special clutch gene that pushes them to pull off the most chaotic of victories on a consistent basis? The way you hear me talk about the other contests, you can probably get the correct sense that I lean a little bit more on the randomness side of things. Vikings likely not quite as good as their record indicates, and that's not to say they'll be a pushover here. Still a team that can play at an extremely high level in the spurts. I think that the Niners have just a bit more consistency. Shanahan, the type of guy who could beat you with his quarterback, take yours, beat you with him also. With that edge, I'm going to push forward SF to punch their ticket with a second consecutive victory. And then there were four. If Chiefs-Bills is the AFC Championship game, the way I have it lined up here, it will not be played in Kansas City, but instead at a neutral site, given the Bills were not able to play their 17th game. They slid below the Chiefs in the standings, and the compromise made by the league, the teams would play on fair footing should they meet up. And if 78 points in the playoffs last year between these teams wasn't enough for you, imagine what it would look like in a dome in January. Trying to parse out the pieces here, both teams took cornerbacks in the first round because they needed to improve on the back end, and of the secondaries, if there's one player who I think's an alpha guy most likely to make a game-changing play, it is Tre'Davious White for Buffalo. Both squads have been sloppy with turnovers and spurts, and at their best look unbeatable. This one is an exciting one to have, showing down that we may have season after season after. Bills got the better of the Chiefs in the regular season, and I do think they can do the same in the playoffs right here, pushing their way into Super Bowl 57. I think it's fair to say that the reigning Super Bowl champion Rams are having a significant impact on the league, even if they're not a participant in the playoffs this year. The win now mentality of shoving your chips in and trying to get whatever piece necessary to put you over the top is one that's inspired other franchises to take chances and look no further than the Eagles and 49ers as examples of teams trading for key offensive pieces to try to bolster their weaponry over the last year. A.J. Brown has tandemed up with Devontae Smith to make for Philly's explosive passing game, not to mention what Hurts can do on the ground. For the 49ers, adding Christian McCaffrey mid-season has given them so many toys to play around with. McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk might be the most diverse and thrilling group of offensive weapons, such that Brock Purdy, who is expected to be quarterback 3 heading into the year, is still having loads of success on a team that has won 10 games in a row. And I tell you what, that team would have won 12 in a row once you add those playoff wins to it. And I don't think they care about going into the East Coast in what could be a cold environment. This is a tough, hard-nosed team that figures out what they need to do to win at any given time. DeMeco Ryans is going to be a head coach at some point, but for the time being, he's leading the defense, one that tees off with so much fierceness and energy, and the swaggy Niners are going to be my pick to win the NFC as a whole. Finally, what it all comes down to, Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona. On one side, the Bills, a franchise, a fan base yearning for its first Lombardi Trophy. They have come so close time after time. On the other, the Niners, storied, looking to add to their staunch championship case. They have 5 titles, wanting their 6th. It's been nearly 3 decades. Confidence will be reverberating across the country to the coast if both of these teams make it. They'll need upsets to get there. They have the talent to do so, and when it comes down to it, reminds me almost of that Niners-Chiefs Super Bowl from a few years ago. We've got a San Francisco team with awesome coaching, awesome pieces, lots on defense. The question is, are they able to push over the top? Garoppolo is so close. Now the question, can Brock Purdy, as Mr. Irrelevant, be that guy to do what Jimmy couldn't quite a few seasons back against a behemoth offense of its own? And I think when you get to the crucial times in crucial NFL games, you need guys who can get you a bucket. The Niners skill guys can do that. I'm not sure if their quarterback is going to be quite as creative on his own. And Josh Allen is a guy who's deserved a breakthrough. He's worked so hard to turn things around from his early seasons. Had the Bills on track to be the number 1 seed. Little bit of a bump in the road, but not a bump to the Super Bowl. We're going with the Buffalo Bills to win their first Lombardi Trophy, to take the Niners down right here. Josh Allen to be Super Bowl MVP with it here as the Bills reign supreme. And there you have it, Bills over 49ers to cap off our 2023 NFL playoff bracket predictions. Other teams to keep an eye on, of course, the Chiefs and Eagles. Beyond them, Bengals have plenty of firepower, Cowboys too, the talent to make a run, and the winner of the Chargers-Jags game is not one that I'd be wanting to play in future rounds. Spike a like if you enjoyed the annual upload. Please share it with another friend, family member, fan, someone to garner big support here for the annual upload. You can subscribe to make sure you're around for it in 2024. Let me know in the comments section who you have winning Super Bowl 57. That'll do it for this year. Good luck to everyone's teams. Enjoy the games. Go Jags. And I'm out. Peace.